Africa is rich in minerals, yet many of its countries struggle with poverty due to several complex factors. Here are some key reasons. 1. Resource exploitation and mismanagement. Many of Africa's resources are extracted by foreign companies, with little benefit to local economies. Corruption and poor governance also lead to wealth being concentrated in the hands of a few elites. 2. Colonial legacy. Colonialism disrupted African economic structures, making many economies dependent on raw material exports rather than industrialization. Even after independence, many African countries remained economically tied to their former colonial rulers. 3. Lack of industrialization. Instead of processing raw materials locally, Africa exports them cheaply and then buys back finished goods at high prices, leading to economic imbalance. 4. Political instability and corruption. Many African countries face conflicts, coups, and corruption, which scare away investors and hinder long-term economic growth. 5. Debt and foreign influence. African nations often rely on loans from institutions like the IMF and World Bank, which come with strict conditions that sometimes hurt economic growth rather than help. 6. Weak infrastructure and education. Poor roads, unreliable electricity, and a lack of skilled workers make it difficult for industries to thrive. Investment in education and technology is low, limiting economic development. 7. Neocolonialism and global trade inequality. Africa is often locked into unfair trade agreements that keep its economies dependent on raw material exports, while foreign companies profit from value-added industries. Despite these challenges, Africa has immense potential. Countries investing in industrialization, technology, and governance reforms are showing signs of economic improvement. Do you think Africa can break this cycle in the near future?
Africa is home to 30% of the world's mineral resources. Yet many African countries are among the poorest. How could a continent so rich in resources be struggling with poverty? Today, we uncover the real reasons behind Africa's paradox. Show visuals of gold, oil, and minerals, followed by slums and struggling economies. Minerals and Resources Africa has 40% of the world's gold reserves. The Democratic Republic of Congo supplies over 60% of the world's cobalt. Nigeria and Angola are among the top oil producers. Africa has 30% of the world's remaining minerals, including diamonds, uranium, and lithium. Agriculture and Land Africa has 60% of the world's arable land, yet food insecurity is high. Cocoa, coffee, and tea are exported, but Africa imports processed goods instead of manufacturing them. Human Capital Africa has a young and growing population, which can drive innovation and industry. But unemployment remains high, and many talented Africans leave for opportunities abroad. 1. Foreign exploitation and economic dependence. Multinational companies control Africa's key industries. Resources are extracted at low prices and sold back as expensive finished goods. Example, Africa exports raw cocoa but imports expensive chocolate. 2. Colonial legacy and unfair trade policies. European colonial rules structured African economies for raw material exports, not industrialization. Even after independence, many African economies remain dependent on former colonial powers. The CFA franc is still controlled by France, limiting economic freedom. 3. Corruption and mismanagement. Billions of dollars are lost yearly to corruption and offshore accounts. Some African leaders sell resources cheaply for personal gain instead of national development. 4. Political instability and conflicts. Wars, coups, and instability scare away investors. Example, Sudan, DRC, and Libya have resources but remain unstable. Armed groups in Central Africa profit from illegal mining, making things worse. 5. Poor infrastructure and industrialization. Weak roads.